Sebastian Inlet is exploding with snook. Anglers are going crazy catching them from both jetties and their boats. Finger mullet are back, and they're bringing their friends. We'll talk about what may be chasing these bait fish in this week's Sebastian Inlet Fishing Report. I'm Andy Hodges, and I'm grateful you're here. Subscribe if you haven't already to receive these fishing updates. It's free. Up first is the action at the North Jetty. This spot has been absolutely on fire, especially during the early morning and late evening high tides. Anglers are hooking up with some serious snook and redfish right at the tip. The times for the high tide are between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. this week. Our friend Wayne Landry, also known as the Snook Man, informed us that live mullet and croakers have been the baits of choice for catch and release snook and redfish. Most of the snook are in the 30 to 40 inch range. Redfish have also been good, measuring 27 to 34 inches, with some even larger. For Spanish mackerel, the early high tide has been optimal using live greenies as bait. They can also be found swimming around the pylons and rocks of the jetty during this period. Mangrove snapper are biting on the incoming tide as well as between the jetty and the Sebastian Inlet Bridge. Live shrimp and greenies are effective baits. Some anglers are catching some sheep's head using live fiddler crabs and cut shrimp. Onward to the South Jetty. The action is still hot, but the fish are a bit smaller. Early mornings and late evenings are your best bet for hooking into some decent snook and redfish. The rocks and shoreline are holding some smaller mangrove snapper. They are biting live bait. Most of these snappers are still small, between 10 and 11 inches long. Blue runners and jacks are also being caught at the tip of the South Jetty on the outgoing tide. However, be aware that catfish and puffers are also present in this area. We also have some bonus tips about snook later in this video. If you're getting value from this report, let us know by clicking the like button below. Surf fishing is pretty slow right now. Catfish and puffers seem to be the main players, but don't get too excited about that. We haven't seen any schools of bait fish in the surf, which means the bigger fish aren't hanging around. The finger mullet schools we've seen have been between the two jetties, so there's hope for better action there. In this week's poll, we asked you about your biggest challenge when at the Sebastian Inlet, and 50% say the crowds, 25% say bait, and the other 25% said the weather. Listen, don't get discouraged about the crowds. It'll get better once school starts. And during the weekdays, there's hardly anyone out there. There's also plenty of other great spots to fish at the inlet, especially closer to the bridge and on the south side. Don't forget to participate in this week's poll on the community tab on our YouTube channel. Now for some important tips. We've been seeing a lot of female snook, which we call breeders. So please handle them with care and get them back in the water as soon as possible. If they struggle too hard during the catch, lactic acid builds up in their muscles, causing cramps that prevent them from swimming. This makes them vulnerable to sharks and Goliath groupers. Live shrimp is the bait of choice right now. However, most summer shrimp are small, making them challenging to use. If you use live shrimp, make sure they're large. Otherwise, choose live mullet or croakers. As for bait fish around the jetties, if you see schools of finger mullet, there's a good chance you'll find big jacks following them. To catch these jacks, use big spoons, jigs, or poppers. Let us know how your fishing went, or if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. The fishing forecast looks good, favorable conditions overall, but be prepared for wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour on Wednesday and Thursday. However, these winds are coming from the east and southeast, which are okay if you're fishing on the North Jetty. There's a chance of rain throughout the week, increasing from 30% to 50% on Sunday and Monday. Temperatures will climb to 91 degrees, peaking at 92 on Sunday and Monday, with overnight lows near 75 degrees. Summertime also means afternoon thunderstorms, but they don't occur every day. For boaters, expect seas 2 to 3 feet through the weekend with a moderate chop on the intracoastal waterway. Overall, fishing should be good throughout the weekend. While the wind and potential rain might be factors, they are good fishing days. Just be cautious of lightning, especially while on the jetty. If a storm approaches, seek shelter immediately and just wait it out. And by the way, if you want some tips on how to catch snook, download our free guide. I've added a link in the video description below where you can find it. And since snook are biting, you'll want to watch this next video. I'll see you on the other side. I'm Andy Hodges for Sebastian Inlet Fishing.